Welcome into Locked On Now MLB and welcome to opening day 2022. The baseball season starts today, and as teams are getting started up in this new year for everyone, they start at zero, a clean slate. So with the records wiped clean and a fresh start for all 30 teams, who can actually win it in 2022? Our Locked On MLB hosts have you covered with everything that you need to know about the teams around the American League as we start this new baseball season.
Let's go around the league.
The AL West is still the Houston Astros division until someone comes and takes it from them, but this season could be a little bit different of story. The Seattle Mariners loaded up in the offseason. The Angels still have some top talent as well. So will it be wild in the AL West? Locked On hosts tell you who can really play in the AL West.
Hey guys, H-Town Wheelhouse here with the Locked On Astros, and this year, 2022, going into the season with having Justin Verlander back, everyone healthy, the Astros look to contend not only for the AL West title, but for another ALCS. They are definite contenders for a top spot in the division, as well the ALCS, possibly one of the top 3 or 4 teams coming out of the AL to make it back to the World Series. The Astros have a lot of excitement with Justin Verlander, with Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, the new up-and-coming shortstop superstar, and Jeremy Pena, and so much more. So stay tuned in to Locked On Astros, where your team every day. Watch them contend for another AL West title and more.
So today I have been tasked with naming the Oakland A's of 2022 contenders or pretenders, and rude. I think pretenders is actually too strong of a phrase. Hi, it's me, Jason Burke from Locked On A's, and the A's are not going to be in contention this season. They're going to be surprisingly good because everybody's talking about, oh, their payroll's $33 million, but it's actually like 50. So, reported accurately, please. They made a lot of trades. They traded Olsen, they traded Chapman, they traded Bassett, they traded Minaya. They're going to trade Montas. They might trade Murphy. They may trade Ramon Laureano. They're trading everybody. So the team that we're going to see in 2022 is not the one that we've been seeing, but there's a lot to look forward to this season on the field. I'm going to be covering a lot of it. We're going to get to know some new players. We're going to get to fall in love with some new guys, some new storylines, and hopefully see the seeds that are going to be that next 2024, 2025 contending team for the Oakland Athletics. Hopefully they stay in Oakland so we can see it. But we're going to be talking about everything Oakland A's related this season. Make sure to follow the podcast wherever you like hearing podcasts. Follow me at @JasonB on Twitter, and follow the podcast at Locked On A's wherever you like to hear podcasts, or YouTube, wherever. I'll see you guys soon.
Well, after surprisingly winning 90 games last season and having a good, not great, but a good offseason this winter, the Mariners look poised to end the longest playoff drought in major American sports this season. This is Titan Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast. And the Mariners spent this offseason building on that 90-win ball club by adding AL Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray to the mix. They also got one of the most underrated hitters in all of baseball in Jesse Winker. They added an all-star second baseman with an elite glove in Adam Frazier. And they got a really good bounce-back candidate in Eugenio Suarez, who's just 2 years removed from hitting 49 bombs and should be able to at least pick up some of the slack left by the departed Kyle Seager. They also have the best farm system in all of baseball, according to Baseball America, to trade from, to get better from. They're adding Julio Rodriguez to the mix, who just made the opening day roster earlier today. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on in Seattle. Quite frankly, they might only be a move or two away from making things a little bit interesting in the AL West, making some Astros fans pretty nervous. At the very least, they should be in the mix here with the expanded playoff picture to get one of the 3 wildcard spots up for grabs. It should be a really, really fun season in Seattle. If you're just a baseball fan, you better be paying attention to what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. Again, this is Titan Gonzalez for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Be sure to check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Peace.
The Texas Rangers in 2022 are going to be pretenders for the playoffs this year. I'm Bryce Patrick, host of the Locked On Texas Rangers podcast, and I'm here to tell you why the Rangers will not be competing for a playoff spot this year. They just won 62 games last year. No team comes back from 100 losses and immediately makes the playoffs. It's not a thing that happens. The Rangers got so much better this offseason. They're probably going to be 20 wins better than they were last year. They're going to be fighting to be 500. They brought in Marcus Semien. They brought in Corey Seager. They brought in Mitch Garver and John Gray and Cole Calhoun and a few other key veterans as well. But they are just not there yet. John Gray is a great head of that rotation. The Rangers have some MLB-capable arms behind them. Martin Perez is going to eat quite a few innings and save some of those young arms a whole lot of miles, but this lineup is just not quite ready. This rotation is not quite ready, and this bullpen is not quite ready. Get ready for them next year, though. They're going to spend big. Again, this coming offseason, they're going to be getting a lot better, looking for some of the young guys to come up. Jack Leiter maybe might see the major leagues by the end of his first professional year. I don't know, but this team is going to be interesting, but they are playoff pretenders at this point.
The Chicago White Sox could certainly run away with the AL Central this season. They already had one of baseball's rising rosters last year. They've added a bunch in the offseason. Plus, the rest of the division just isn't really good right now. Is there anyone who can challenge the White Sox in the Central? Our Locked On hosts let you know.
The Chicago White Sox are not only division contenders in 2022, but they have their sights set on the World Series. Hey, this is Nick Morawski from Locked On White Sox. The defending AL Central champs, the White Sox, have finally found a proven outfielder in A.J. Pollock to play right field. The bullpen has been upgraded with Graveman and Kelly, a healthy Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez, along with Moncada, Abreu, Anderson, and Grandal will look to make an opposing pitcher's outing very short and painful. The starting pitching is solid, led by potential Cy Young candidates Lucas Giolito and Dylan Cease. The White Sox have the firepower and defense to not only defend the AL Central Division title, but also capture the AL pennant.
Hey everyone, Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians, doing a From the Car Right After Work edition of Locked On Guardians. So our big question, our assignment as it were, is will your team be a contender or a pretender? And part of me wants to really put it in the middle, if I'm being completely honest. But I think if we are only given those two titles, and I have to say A or B, if this is a true-false type of test, I'm going to protest, and then I'm going to say pretender. And the reason I go with pretender is this was a team that was a little under 500 a year ago, and they didn't really lose anything. I mean, their big loss is Blake Parker. That's, no knock on Blake Parker, but that's not a big loss. They have a lot of youth coming, and they had so many injuries a year ago. So there's that part of me that also goes, I think they're going to be better than you think. Steve Kwan is the dark horse Rookie of the Year candidate. You're going to have players coming through the year like Cody Morris, when healthy, who's going to be able to step up and help. Connor Pilkington is already with the team. There's a lot of players, a lot of that youth movement who should make an impact. I mean, I'm still a believer in Nolan Jones. We got to see what he can do. Gabriel Arias. There's so many young players that can help this team. And they struggled with health as much as any team did a year ago. So as long as they're a little bit healthier and some of these young players hit, I'm going to go with pretender with the little asterisk saying I would not be shocked if they ended up being a contender. It's just hard. And the reason here at the end why I think they're more pretender than contender is the American League is just stacked. And it's going to be hard to break through and be better in the AL East or the AL West teams.
Are the Royals contenders or pretenders? I'm Rylan Stiles, host of the Locked On Royals podcast, and the Kansas City Royals are one of the more interesting teams this season. They have a lot of young talent that could elevate them to a new step. However, anytime you're dealing with a bunch of what-ifs, you're typically not a good baseball team. With the expanded postseason and a chance for these young pitchers to take a step, the Royals might be able to sneak into a wildcard spot, though that's a long shot. Brady Singer, Chris Bubich, Carlos Hernandez, Brad Keller, Daniel Lynch can all be linchpins for the Royals moving forward, while Zach Greinke leads the ship as a veteran. In the lineup, it's very boom or bust. Can Salvador Perez repeat his MVP caliber season last year? Can Whit Merrifield bounce back? Is Bobby Witt Jr. truly going to be a superstar from the word go on opening day? Can Nicky Lopez duplicate his career high year last year? Is Andrew Benintendi going to stay healthy? And can Michael A. Taylor not be a hole in the lineup the way he wasn't last year, but was for the rest of his career? Plus, what's the deal with Alberto Mondesi? When he's healthy, he has all-star potential. He's typically not healthy, though. So as you compile all the what-ifs for the Royals, you have to put them in pretender category right now. Though, if those what-ifs break the right way, the Royals might be able to sneak into the wild card. Find out how this season unfolds on the Locked On Royals podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day.
The Detroit Tigers are contenders in 2022. It's been a long time since I've been able to say that. What's up, everybody? I'm Scott Bentley over at Locked On Tigers, and we're here. Well, the Detroit Tigers are contenders, and I haven't been able to say that for over half a decade. And I'm so pumped for this summer. I am so pumped. The offseason makes it clear that they are in win now. We are finally back mode, right? We bring in Javi Baez. We bring in Eduardo Rodriguez. We now bring in Austin Meadows. Torkelson and Green. Green is hurt, going to miss the first little bit of the season. But Spencer Torkelson's on the opening day roster, and they've all but confirmed that the second Riley Green is healthy again, he's the everyday starting center fielder. AJ Hinch came in and almost immediately turned this rebuild around and got us on a ship to being a contender again. And that's where we are now. The Detroit Tigers are absolutely a contender this year. Contender for the division, contender for the wild card, contender for the pennant. Is that the homer in me? You decide. But we're going to cover it all season over at Locked On Tigers. I cannot wait. The Detroit Tigers, contenders. I can't stop saying it.
Hey, y'all, this is Nash Walker from the Locked On Twins podcast. I'm going to tell you why I think the 2022 Twins are a contender, but maybe a borderline contender. Twins came into this offseason needing a couple frontline starters, a new starting shortstop. They certainly got that shortstop in Carlos Correa in the biggest signing in team history, without a doubt, making him the highest paid infielder in MLB history on an average annual value basis. They traded for Sonny Gray from Cincinnati. He slots in as a nice number 2. Still missing that number 1 starter. So right now, Twins look like a hovering 500 team. Certainly some upside there. Definitely offensively with Byron Buxton and Correa. Jorge Polanco is the team's best player last year. Alex Kirilloff is now fully set into a major league role, and there's hopes that he's going to step in and contribute. So a lot up in the air. Say the Twins are a contender because of that upside and the pitching prospects coming, but I'd call it borderline. Thanks so much for watching.
The AL East is once again set to be one of the best and deepest divisions in baseball, but it could be more than the usual suspects of the Yankees and Red Sox making noise. The Rays are poised for a good season, and could this be the year that a young and talented Toronto team breaks out and takes charge? Our Locked On hosts in the AL East tell you who the pretenders and contenders are in the most watched division in baseball.
Are the 2022 Yankees pretenders or contenders? I believe they're contenders. When you have 12 teams going to the playoffs, the Yankees have a good shot of making it. Hey, I'm Stacey Gotsulias, host of Locked On Yankees, and the Yankees may not have made the moves that you wanted them to make in the offseason, and I'm saying that to myself as well, but they made enough moves to which they're still a strong team in a loaded AL East division. Do I see them winning the division? Honestly, no. But I see them making the playoffs, at least as a wild card team. Why not? They've done it before. They can do it again. They have Garrett Cole coming back and wanting to prove things to people after his showing in the wild card game. They have new additions, Josh Donaldson, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Anthony Rizzo is back. Joey Gallo is back to try and prove that he can help the Yankees with his big bat, and that you shouldn't worry about all the strikeouts he has. So the Yankees have a very solid team. So yes, I believe that they are a contender.
The AL East will be a very stacked division. It will be incredibly difficult, as it is every year, but the Boston Red Sox indeed will be a contender in 2022. Hey, it's Lauren from Locked On Red Sox, and yes, there are questions surrounding this pitching, especially the starting rotation, and especially the bullpen. There's just a lot of questions surrounding the pitching overall, but you look at this lineup that already includes Rafael Devers, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, and then you add in Trevor Story. This lineup 1 through 6 is incredibly dangerous, it's filled with power, and it will help carry the Red Sox into the postseason in 2022. Yes, the Toronto Blue Jays had a killer offseason. Yes, the Tampa Bay Rays and New York Yankees will be good. They will be in the hunt. But the Boston Red Sox are getting Chris Sale back. They still have Garrett Whitlock. Now you just have to hope Matt Barnes returns to first half 2021 form. Hopefully he's figured out that mechanical issue. There are still places for the Red Sox to add, yes, but they were pegged to finish 4th in the AL East in 2021. And look what happened there. They went to the ALCS, 2 games from the World Series. I have confidence that they can do that again this year, especially with the addition of Trevor Story, with Alex Cora as your manager, with a lot of the roster you had last year. Plus, you are getting Chris Sale back at some point this season, and he will be a welcome addition to this rotation. Plus, I wouldn't mind adding another one of these to my collection. Book it. Boston Red Sox 2022 Contenders.
Well, Ulysses, it looks like I think it's fair to say that the Rays are absolutely, definitely a contender this upcoming MLB season.
That is right. I'm Ulysses Sembrano, and that is
Kevin Weiss
of the Locked On Rays podcast. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why the Rays should be a contender this season. First of all, this is one of the first times ever in this franchise that the lineup is actually kind of scary. You've got Austin Meadows, Brendan Lau, Randy Arozarena, Wander Franco, Yandy Diaz. It's a really nice, complete set of big leaguers. And now you also are adding the rookies like Taylor Walsh, Josh Lowe, Vidal Brujan, and see what they can do. And, of course, the return of Big Papa Mike Zunino.
Yes, I think a big thing is a full season of Wander Franco makes a big difference. And the Rays always figure it out with the pitching end of things and the defense end of things. Heck, the Rays always are better on paper than what they show, what the prognosticators project them to be. It doesn't matter about the turnover, the injuries. The Rays still will figure out a way to win 90-plus games at least. If you want to hear more of us, tune in to the Locked On Rays podcast every Monday through Friday.
The Baltimore Orioles this year, as we all know, will be pretenders. Certainly not contenders. Hey everybody, Connor Newcomb, host of Locked On Orioles here. And whether the Orioles are a contender or a pretender in 2022, it is a pretty simple answer. They are pretenders this year. And the rebuild, just simply, as Mike Elias has shown this offseason, is not over. The Orioles didn't make many additions at all to the Major League roster. Jordan Lyles, Robinson Chirinos, and Rougned Odor on pretty cheap one-year deals, the only Major League contracts they gave out. Now, the O's do have Cedric Mullins coming back with Ryan Mountcastle and John Means and Trey Mancini. And the top prospect in baseball, Adley Rutschman, should be up this year, along with DL Hall and Grayson Rodriguez, a couple of really good pitching prospects as well. But as we know, the Orioles are going to struggle to avoid 100 losses again this year, especially in an American League East division where the other 4 teams are trying to win a World Series and have a chance to win a World Series in 2022. So will the Orioles be a winning ball club in 2022? No, they will not. Should be another tough season, unfortunately, in the major league level in Baltimore.
That's going to do it for today on Locked On Now MLB. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you check out Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.